AI has pretty much creeped its way into every industry by now. Whether it's being used to scan your resume when you're applying for a job or taking that job that you just applied for, it's being implemented into pretty much everything. Some of it's kinda cool, like for gaming it enhances NPC behavior, and for the everyday person it can help organize lists or clean up your messy grammar, but unless you're like 80 years old and spend too much time on Facebook, it's pretty evident when a voice, song, or image, even text, is completely AI generated, which most people tend to dislike and not engage with. But have you ever heard of a company that implemented AI and it actually ended up destroying the entire company from the inside out? That's Sports Illustrated. Now, Sports Illustrated dominated the 70s and the 80s, locking down the #1 spot for sports journalism magazines in the United States. During this time, the publication mailed out millions of weekly subscriptions, and that number just continued to grow rapidly year over year. They featured renowned athletes, attractive swimsuit models, and even some notable presidents and pop culture figures. The magazine was a sensation for avid sports lovers and kids who were aspiring to be elite athletes. But a lot has changed since the early days of their success. The landscape of sports media is nothing like it used to be, and magazines have become relics of the past. Sports Illustrated still has a presence online today in this new digital era, and while they managed to stay operating, they've consistently fallen behind, making costly missteps when it came to moving forward. And the result has been a slow collapse of a once dominant sports media giant, and it really took a turn when a whistleblower exposed that they were using AI to write multiple articles. Even in the early years, Sports Illustrated was off to a somewhat rocky start. Founded in 1954 by Henry Luce, who was the publishing giant behind Time and Life magazine, Sports Illustrated was created despite him not even being a big fan of sports himself. He just saw an opportunity to fill a gap in a market and decided to create a high-quality sports publication. All of his advisors thought this was a terrible idea, and they were warning him that a weekly magazine devoted solely to sports would be just a complete financial disaster. And at first, they were right. Sports Illustrated struggled in the early years, losing millions of dollars. By the late 50s, even skeptics within the company itself were urging Luce to just cut his losses. But they stuck to it, and everything changed a decade later when the magazine underwent a complete transformation under the leadership of Andre Laguerre. He shifted the focus to major American team sports like baseball, football, basketball, and hockey, while still covering major individual sports like boxing, tennis, and golf. Laguerre's vision turned Sports Illustrated into a much more sophisticated and respected publication. He recruited some of the best sports writers in the country who brought intelligence and depth to sports journalism. And he was also the pioneer of the swimsuit edition, which quickly became one of the most iconic and profitable issues of the magazine. By the 1970s, Sports Illustrated had established itself as a premier source for sports journalism and a cultural staple that every sports fan turned to for in-depth analysis and storytelling. As the magazine grew in prominence, it became more than just a publication. It was an institution. Legendary athletes graced its covers, exclusive interviews and investigative pieces that just set it apart from its competitors, and the swimsuit edition, which alone was a massive cultural event. By the 90s, it was still a powerhouse, but things were starting to slow down. This was because competition was rising quickly. ESPN launched its own magazine in 1998 that targeted a younger audience, which Sports Illustrated just dismissed at first. They believed that it would never surpass their magazines, but over time it chipped away at Sports Illustrated's dominance. The magazine also struggled to retain a top tier of writers, and many of their own were leaving for newspapers or digital media outlets that were adapting to change a lot better. Moving into the digital era was critical for Sports Illustrated's survival, as physical magazine subscriptions were fading fast. And before even releasing that magazine in 1998, ESPN had already been dominating televised sports. They had also made a game-changing move before then in 1995 by launching their website ESPNSportsZone.com. This gave them a massive head start in the online space, and meanwhile, Sports Illustrated hesitated and stayed on the sidelines for more than 2 years before making their move to digital content. 2 years of lost momentum, 2 years of handing the digital future to a competitor that would soon just leave them in the dust. In an attempt to fight back, Sports Illustrated launched CNN Sports Illustrated, a sports news network that was meant to challenge ESPN. But by then it was way too little, and ESPN had already solidified itself as the king of digital sports media, especially on television. Despite all of these failures, Sports Illustrated has managed to maintain some level of relevance when they finally joined the online world. world. Their website and social media presence claim to keep them connected to over 80 million visitors a month, according to their media kit. They've also produced thousands of videos every quarter, built a podcast network on iHeartRadio, and continued their iconic swimsuit edition, which actually still reaches over 70 million consumers annually. But even with these digital efforts, their problems were just getting worse. In November of 2023, Futurism reported that Sports Illustrated had published stories with authors that they could not identify. One listed author, Drew Ortiz, was found to have a profile picture that was sourced from a website that sold AI-generated portraits. And the magazine described Ortiz as someone who spent much of his life outdoors, yet no evidence of his existence could be found anywhere. When questioned about this, Sports Illustrated immediately deleted all traces of the AI-generated authors from their website without any explanation. But thanks to a whistleblower from within the company, they said that artificial intelligence had been used to create content despite the public denials. This led the company into a panic after the massive backlash, and the CEO of the magazine was fired shortly after the report went public. By early 2024, things just went from bad to worse. The publisher of Sports Illustrated, Arena Group, announced mass layoffs, effectively gutting the entire newsroom. After that, ABG, or Athletic Brands Group, the company that owns the Sports Illustrated brand, revoked Arena Group's publishing license after they failed to make a quarterly payment of $3.75 million. With roughly 100 employees that left or were fired, including 80 unionized workers, the future of Sports Illustrated was not looking good. Arena Group tried to assure staff that Sports Illustrated would continue in some form, but their financial struggles made it clear that their grip on the brand was slipping. ABG stated that they were committed to preserving Sports Illustrated's legacy, but what that meant remained unclear. Currently, right now, Sports Illustrated is in this limbo. Arena Group is in discussions with ABG, but they aren't the only ones. There's speculation that a new publisher could step in, but whether Sports Illustrated can truly be revived or it will become just another relic of the past is yet to be seen. We still see them post on social media and make blog posts on Sports Illustrated's website, but it's mostly recycled content on platforms that they've already fallen behind on. So, is it too late for Sports Illustrated to make a comeback? Once a pinnacle of sports journalism, they're now fighting for survival in an era that hasn't been in their favor. If they keep relying on AI to churn out articles and fail to innovate, they'll just remain stagnant or fade into history. But maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end. The name and the history itself might have some sort of value. After all, people do love a good comeback story, especially in sports. And if history has taught us anything, it's that nothing is impossible. Hell, even Enron is somehow making a comeback. That's a story for a totally different video, but if any brand knows the power of a great comeback, it's Sports Illustrated. Thank you a ton to all the new viewers and those taking the time to watch this video. A lot of time is spent researching, writing, and editing these videos. If it made you say, well, that's something, then we achieved our goal here today. Please consider supporting the channel. The best way to do that is by liking and subscribing. I'm working on improving with each video, so again, I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch this. As always, stay safe and stay curious, everyone.